So it looks like the button's gone, and looks like, let me just kind of check here and see how everything's coming. Looks like some of it's going through already too. Give me a second here. Yeah, it looks like this is live now. Do you guys see it yet, or has it pushed through?
Yeah, we're on.
We're on. All right, cool. Let me just check out the YouTube stuff really quick.
Dude, that background's killer, dude.
It's cool, right? It looks cool. I was trying to find a nice one out there, cool one to pull, and I found this one. I was like, I'll just borrow it. I won't say I stole it, but I'll say I borrowed it right there. So let's
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I'm on. I got my phone open to the damn. Turn on the volume.
yeah, it was like it was turned down, like it was when I was doing it like before the show, it was like it was scaled down, and so you could actually see everything on it. And I mean, if I move over to the side a little bit, you can see it there, over here, and on this side here too.
Yeah,
And yeah,
Kind
so
of like it.
yeah,
that's pretty badass, man.
I was just trying to get something out there to do it. I was telling Fabian here that like moving forward, we're gonna do these kind of things. We're kind of help promote the guys behind us and the guys that are here on the show. So, but yeah, it's actually 7 o'clock and we've got a few people tuned in now. So let's go ahead and get started, man. So this is our third episode here of I'd rather be fishing. And just to kind of put this into context, like obviously, with the coronavirus is going around here, people are staying at home, and we just figured we'd kind of break the kind of the story that you're seeing on TV, which is all the bad stuff, all the negative stuff, the markets, the virus, and not to say that's not important, but kind of give people a distraction out there. So with all this stuff going on, we're like, man, what we'd all rather be fishing, and that's kind of how we came
Yeah,
up with it.
absolutely.
That's where the name of the show came up from, and so really, so it's like, all right, so what are we going to talk about? And the idea was that we're going to bring in like just some of the people that tied into our network, or people that we follow, people that we respect, onto the show, and just kind of let them like kind of really just obviously like a lot of like we've spoken to several brands before, different people, and so a lot of people see the products, the outputs that the people put out, but we don't really spend a lot of time talking about the background, right? Some of the people behind them, and the purpose, the story behind them, and that was kind of the intent around the show, is that we would do this and kind of bring to light, show another angle, another perspective of some of the people that we follow, and so when we were talking about this, and you and I have been talking about this for a while, Jess, was like, hey, we need to do something together. We need to do something together, and so now
Yeah,
this kind of worked out pretty good. So, but yeah, so yeah, guys, you don't know, this is Jess from Sons of Texas. Welcome to our show, episode number 3, and today we're gonna talk all about kind of what it's like to do the stuff you're doing, man. Obviously,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang up here and then join the group again. Okay.
okay, go ahead. Yeah, obviously, you guys are really big. You guys are a really big music band that made it here out of the valley, and so now we're trying to figure out, just kind of learn more about the history of the band and where you guys are going and things that you guys are doing right now, when kind of in this downturn right here, this slowdown. So
Yeah, man. First of all, I want to say thanks for having me on the show, man. I appreciate that. It's cool to be talking with y'all here and finally getting this thing off the ground. Like you said, we've been talking about this for a minute, and it's good to finally get this in motion, man. I appreciate what y'all doing too. I really like what you guys have going on with your 7 Day Media and all that. And the Palo fishing and all that's great shit, man. I love it.
yeah, no, definitely, man. So yeah, well, thanks for making this on. We have people tuning in. We have a few people comments coming in. So you guys, if you guys are watching us on Facebook, YouTube, just let us know where you're watching. Check in, say hi. We'll post some of these comments here along we go. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started, man. So how did this? Obviously, you guys are pretty big now, but how and when did this start for you, man?
Uh, uh, Man, it's weird. We officially started with this lineup in 2013, but me personally, I got started when I was 15. I didn't start doing live performances till I was, man, I don't know, 20 something. I don't even remember, man. It was weird.
Like you were like
But
2015, you said?
no, no, no. I was 15 when I
Oh, okay,
started.
okay,
I
okay.
was 15 years old, started playing, but I didn't start doing gigs till I was in my 20s. And the group of guys we have right now, it's, at one point or another, we're in different projects, at least two members at a time from different, bands we had going on. And ultimately, we arrived at this lineup in 2013, and it was just wanting to do something that had no limits in terms of the style of music, or we really didn't want to get pigeonholed into what we could or couldn't do. If we wanted to do blues, we're gonna do blues. If you want to do heavy metal, we're gonna do heavy metal. If you want to do rock and roll, whatever it is, man.
Country.
And what? Huh?
Country music too.
I mean, hey, we've actually done one or two songs in pre-production that sounded country,
Okay.
and they just didn't make the cut for whatever reason. But it's not a no. You know what I mean? Like, it's, again, we didn't want to get pigeonholed. We didn't do whatever we want, and the only limits we set are the ones we set for ourselves.
So what genre would you say that you kind of fall under? I mean, obviously it's very rocky type of music, but is there a particular genre that you guys consider yourselves?
Not really, man. We've been called everything from power blues to heavy metal to southern metal, and to be honest, I don't get the southern thing. I don't hear it, but most people say that's where we're at. And to me, man, it's just the center of it is focused on hard rock, because we go above and we go a little bit below. The lighter stuff. We do ballads, we do heavier stuff. So I would center it at like hard rock.
Okay.
But yeah, man, we do everything, and it really falls on the musicians that are in the band and the capabilities they possess, man. It really lets us, there's plenty of room to gallop, if you get what I mean. We can do whatever we want. Our musicians can go in any way. Our singer's range is ridiculous. He does it all. Heavy metal, breaks it down. He does pop music sometimes, and it sounds incredible. Like, he'll do some of these renditions. He did one of Alicia Keys's, I think it's called "I Keep on Falling" or something like that.
Oh shit!
And yeah, he does renditions of that kind of thing too, and it's incredible to be able to even dabble with that world, So again, it's us really wanting to have no restrictions on what we can or can't do.
It's pretty entertaining, man. Like I said, I was watching the videos throughout the day, and I mean that's the first word that actually popped into mind when I started hearing it was a southern. And I think the way I kind of mean that is. It's a very clean type of music. Yeah, you have some of that hard stuff, but you also have some of that pretty bluesy, soulful type of music that still comes across in that heavy rock, but it's still very, clean. Not the stuff you can't understand. Like, I pretty much understand every word you're saying.
We got a couple of those too, actually. We got a couple of the ones you can't understand. But no, man. Even as far as like when I said blues earlier, there's one on YouTube that that never made it to a record, but in a live performance, somebody recorded a pretty good quality version of a song called "Cold, Cruel, and Content." You can't see it on a record anywhere, but it's on YouTube, and it's just straight blues. And it's out in, I want to say Harlingen at the Hop Shop. And we just one day, like, it was just a tune that came out of our ass, man. We just, why not? Let's go. And we jammed it, and it came out, and we performed it, and somebody captured it on video. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. One of those like hidden track kind of things.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll at some point, and we'll put it on a record.
Yeah, no, awesome, man. So you start when you're 15. Like, I mean, what does that look like? I mean, you just like decide one day you're gonna pick up a bass guitar and just kind of start jamming, or I mean, what was that like?
No, man, it's weird. When I was in junior high, I had this little stint where I liked listening to rap and all that kind of stuff. I still got it, dude. I love rap. I love Dr. Dre. Anything Dr. Dre did was gold, in my opinion. But I was getting to the point where I had friends that were walking around school, the guitar strapped to their back, and every once in a while somebody would bust them out and they start jamming, and they did like a little, I think they called it, man, I forget what it's called, but it was like a little talent show or whatever, and a group of friends of mine had their own thing going on, and they performed live, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And I just took an interest in the fact that some of these guys were able to perform some of the songs that I'd heard on the radio, in front of me with a guitar. And I said, man, I want to try that. When I turned 15, or before I turned 15, I told my mom, I was like, look, I want to do this. And she was like, well, if you learn on this little, beater acoustic, I'll get you a guitar for your birthday. And I think her plan was to already get one because she saw the interest that I was getting, And when my birthday came around, she and my aunt showed up with this weird knockoff Strat. It was a teal colored, with a perloid pickguard. It was just, it was the best thing I'd ever seen.
It was the test, man. They wanted to see how serious you were.
Yeah. And yeah, man. And when I got that thing, I was on cloud nine, man. I wanted to already, be able to play as fast as some of the cats I'd heard on the radio and that kind of thing. So just slaving away all day in my room, and 8 hours a day sometimes, just
Partly.
over and over and over. Yeah. And to this day, if I ever get the chance when there's nobody home, or even on the road in the van, I'll have my acoustic or whatever, and if the stretch goes for 5 hours, I'll jam for 5 hours, man. Like whatever I can get in. It's weird. A lot of people, like, I run into, they're like, man, you're talented, this and this, and I'm like, man, it's not really talent. It's more of an obsession, because it's more the obsession of wanting to learn and become better.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. I dig that kind of stuff.
We absolutely get it, man. Like, we talk about fishing. That's what fishing is, right? We call it. That's kind of why we go with the addiction word, right? 7-day addiction. It's kind of like whatever it is that ties you to whatever it is you do. And fishermen are the same way too, man. They're just addicted to trying to get better, or just trying to experience more out there and be out more on the water. So whether your instrument is a fishing rod or a guitar, the addiction is real, man. It pulls you in, and it sucks you in and keeps you engaged. And so before you're 15, you never really you weren't a musician, or you weren't a singer or choir kind of guy. You were just kind of just like hey, I'm just a normal kid, and then it was this pinnacle time in your life, or this turning point of inflection, where you see some of your buddies jam out, and you're like, that's pretty cool. And
well, it's weird, man. I wouldn't say I was a normal kid, because I've been weird my entire life. I'm still weird. But
relative, we're all
when I was,
weird,
when I was I guess 4, I don't know, something like that. My aunt used to take care of me, and she would always put this Richie Valens, what is it, La Bamba.
Oh yeah.
And she would throw that on, and I burned through like 8 VHS tapes. Back in the day, it was VHS. And we burned through a bunch of them, and at that point, I had taken an interest in that movie. I don't know if maybe it just, disappeared for a long time, and then when I hit, my teens, I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about this. This is cool. Like, I don't know, man. It's been there, I guess, in the back of my mind, kind of. And then finally, when I hit 15, it was just like, all right, let's do this. And I hit the pedal all the way down to the ground, and let's get it, man,
Yeah,
it's pretty badass.
Cool,
I still get excited to this day, man. Like, if I wake up early, like 6 a.m. today, I woke up at 6, kids are asleep, my wife's asleep. I was like, all right, burn a cup of Joe, and I started ripping away at it. And I was like, man, like those, few moments when I can get to squeeze in, I'll just obsess, man. I'll sit there with a metronome and just go at it and try to work on something that I'm missing or whatever it is.
So then you start picking up this guitar, you start playing around, and then, like, when was it before you actually started, kind of doing shows and getting in front of people and performing? Like, how long was it? Yeah.
I was 18, I want to say, or 19, somewhere in there, where they held a talent show in a high school, and it was something called Spring Jam, I remember, and we did like a makeshift band last minute. A bunch of friends were like, hey, let's do it, whatever, you want to play guitar? And I was like, sure, man, but man, I had this like just crippling stage fright, man. And at the time I had like long hair, so when I would jam and it came down to time to do a guitar solo or something, I had my hair down in my face, and I would crouch down and, like, be in my own little world, trying to not spaz out and like freak out at the fact that there was people watching me. And it was at that moment when I was like doing those shows and people walking up saying, man, that was cool, this and that, playing the jams that we loved growing up. And it was just like, man, I want to do this. Like, I want to do this on a larger scale and be able to see how far I can take it. And really, man, it's a perpetual thing. Like, I'm constantly looking for, and that's the funny thing about everybody in the band that I'm in. These guys are all in the same boat. Like, all of them are hardworking dudes, and I think that's really what helps us, achieve those milestones and keep going and take it as far as we really can, dude.
You still feel on every show that you still have those jitters or that nervousness still every time you go on there, or is it become routine?
Now, and if I ever feel, there's sometimes where I feel like if we're doing a new song where I haven't done my homework, and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? I got to really like get in the zone and not freak out. Like, I'll slam a couple shots and take a beer or something like that, and I'll get on stage and I'll be all right. I'll tell you this one time that I did get nervous. We played in Japan in front of 20,000 people, and it was just
oh shit
that it's still to this day probably the highlight, man. It was 10 a.m. their time, and the stage is like, man, like 10 feet tall for whatever reason. It was a tall ass stage, and you couldn't hear nobody. You know, everybody's quiet, and I'm like, man, nobody's here. It's cool. The fact that we're in Japan is good enough for me. We got invited to do this. It's an awesome opportunity. Whatever. Let's go up there. And I get up there, and I'm like, look out, and there's an ocean of people, just silence.
Wow. Yeah.
Man, like I don't know how to react to that, because usually you go to a show and nobody knows how to shut up, you know.
Yeah.
And I talked to the one guy that knows English, you know, and I go, man, what's going on with these people? Like, they're not into it or what? And the dude's just like, oh yeah, like he pointed out some dude out in the crowd. He's holding up like this big sign or whatever, and it just lets people know, hey, the MC's gonna come out, do his thing or whatever, and just be quiet until then, you know. And everything's discipline, respect. It's all like, Japan is great, man. I love it. And as soon as a guy comes out, he's, you know, starts making his announcements or doing whatever he's doing. I can't understand it. It's Japanese. So the guy's like just going off on the mic, this and that. Nobody's, you know, reacting or anything like that. And the one thing that I do understand is him say our name. And as soon as he says, you know, Sons of Texas, 20,000 people on their feet just losing it. My heart just went down the path. I went like that. I was like, man, what are we going to do? Like, first of all, like, I'm already skitsed out because the time change is so crazy. The jet lag is just, man, like, I'm caffeine, booze, and everything is just like a big roller coaster on at once. And I was there, and I remember Mark saying, let's go, man, let's do it, whatever. We stood up there. I looked down. I didn't look at him. I didn't look at anybody for a while, man, you know, for like the first maybe song, whatever.
And you didn't have your long hair anymore to hide behind, huh?
I did it, man. It's down to the skin, bro. Like, it was done. So I was like,
so you have short hair now because naturally you decided to go that route, or just kind of over time, you know, getting older a little bit?
No, man. The genetics are fucking, you know, I wasn't allowed to have long hair.
Yeah, I feel your pain, bro.
Yeah, that's why Fabian always wears that hat over there on that backside.
You know, in the beginning, I kind of felt like, man, my powers are gone. You know, my hair left or whatever, and this and that. But you know, it kind of forced me into this corner, like, well, you can't rely on just, you know, swinging your hair on stage. You got to actually perform, and maybe it's different, you know, different approach to what you're going to do in the live performance. And man, it's really kind of pushed me to overcome that craziness. You know, just I had to have my hair like this to be able to play. And man, it's awesome, man, to be able to still, you know, go up there and knock it out of the park.
And
there's a guy out there that mentioned Vicente Guerrero. You know him?
Vicente Guerrero. I have to see his face, man.
He put Lay in Ruins reunion set.
Yeah, man, that was a death metal band we were a part of, and actually every member in this band, minus the singer, was in that band. It was actually the funny part is that Nick was on guitar and I was on bass. In this band, I'm on guitar and he's on bass. But man, like, to me, because I was doing bass, I really, you know, and I still had my hair then. It was like, what are we gonna do? All right, here's a set list. Cool. I slam, you know, a bunch of beer, go on stage, swing the hair, play the bass. Because it's bass, I didn't really have to do very many complex things, you know, like, and I was just following whatever the guitars were doing. I wasn't really much of a bass player. I was just somebody who played bass. And it was like, man, I would get tagged. It was some of the best years in my life, man. Some of the stuff is on YouTube. If you look it up, it's really, those were some special years, man. Made a lot of friends, met new people, did a lot of stupid shit. It was cool, man.
Just so we have like in context here. So what years are we talking about here that you were part, you know, before this? So you said 2013 is kind of when you Sons of Texas kind of really became something. So this was before that, right before that?
It was directly before that, because I remember I was in Lay in Ruins and I was in another band called Machete. Mark was the front man for a band called Machete. That one was just like straight metal. Lay in Ruins was like death metal, and we had another friend on vocals. His name's Edgar, and I kind of saw the people like kind of like separating, do their own thing. Edgar had just, you know, had kids, and he got married. And, you know, he was off doing his own thing. So I kind of saw that where it was going. It was kind of slowly, like, already, you know, falling apart. So I was like, all right, man, I want to get back on guitar. What am I going to do, this and this and that? And that's when I wanted to start jamming again. And I talked to John about it. And John's the other guitar player, and we just really started working on tunes, and just I knocked the rust off. I started getting back on it or whatever, and John goes, "Well, who are we gonna get to sing for this band, man?" And the funny thing, it's weird, man. Mark and I have a history, and John and Mark have a history. When before I jammed with Machete, I hated Mark, and Mark hated me.
I mean, you guys have crossed paths before, or I mean, I guess in this
Yeah,
rock,
man,
it's not a
weird.
big scene, I imagine.
Yeah, dude, it's everybody knows everybody in the
Yeah,
scene and that kind of thing, and just the guy's talented. Don't tell
yeah.
him I said that. Anybody's watching this, don't tell him I said shit. But he's talented as shit, and it was just it's weird, man. Like I told John, I was like, dude, this guy. He's like, nah, fuck that guy, whatever. This and that, whatever. And I was like, man, like what you heard on Machete was, what he was limited to. I go, you should hear this guy sing. He's fucking great, whatever. And I popped in a CD of him doing his own like acoustic stuff at home that he'd tracked. He's like, that's the same guy. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, he's like, well, what are we waiting on, dude? Let's do whatever. And it just like little by little like started falling together, and it just really came together badass, man. And like everybody just gelled. I'm not gonna sit here and say it perfect all the way through
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's five egos. You know what I mean? You got
Yeah.
to get five egos in check, and you're trapped in the van like 8 hours a day with these same dudes, and it smells like shit, and it's crazy, man. The trips are long, the attitudes start to get kind of crazy, and we have those moments, but man, once we get on stage, like there's no bills, there's no drama, there's no fights back home, whatever the situation
It's
is.
just
For those 25 to an hour and a half, whatever it is that we're doing, if we're opening for somebody or if we're headlining, there is nothing else. It's just like the shark from Finding Nemo. I watch a lot of cartoons because of my kids. But you remember when he like smells blood, like his eyes go black? The same shit, man. Like there's nothing else in the world that no tension in your shoulder, nothing. Like it's just gone,
man,
and it just it.
what you're
Go
describing
ahead.
is, I mean, again, I'm going to tie this back to fishing because, but it's the same thing, right? People get out there, you
Yeah,
get out in the
dude.
water,
And
and,
you know what?
all
Same
this,
thing, man.
everything goes away,
I see
man.
I see friends of mine like fishing out there, and like I would love to get on the water. I really don't have much time to go out
Right.
there, but I would love it, man. Like my cousin Homer, he's always out there, man, on the water, and I see him. He picks up some big ass fish. I got some other friends from Santa Rosa. They got some big ass catanes and shit, and I'm like, man, I would love to go out there and learn how to
But
actually catch a fish and
but you
make
got
that happen.
but you got your own thing. I mean, like again, like fishing is like a form of escapism, right? And so like some
Yeah,
people pick up a rod and reel, you pick up a guitar or bass guitar, and that's your the equivalent. So that's what it
yeah,
all is, right? We all need kind of these checks and balances in our lives to kind of keep us sane and keep us moving forward. So yours is just it's just different, right? But several things you just said, right, that really stood out to me. One of them was that so you've seen kind of going with some of your experience, how having kids and can change your life as kind of a rock star and kind of musician out here, and then you mentioned here right now you watching cartoons because having your kids in your life, and so how do how do you balance that? I mean, what's that life? How does that having kids changed or changed you specifically in the stuff you do?
well, it all starts with the support system at home, and if it wasn't for my wife, man, my entire life would just crumble to shit. And she's tougher than burnt fajitas. You know what I mean? Like she holds it the fuck down. And if it wasn't for her, like I said, everything would fall apart. But in the beginning, it was rough. I had to kind of find a balance, and she helps, kind of hone in and tell me, hey, like make every moment count. So when I'm home, I try to spend as much time with them as I can because I know that, hey, we got another tour or whatever, we got a call or whatever, and we got to go, 3 weeks to, the longest one we've done so far is 2 months.
Oh wow,
And that was
where was
brutal.
that? Where was that? That was just like all over this. All
Yeah,
over,
all U.S.
yeah, all
Yeah, all over
over.
the U.S. And it was cool, man. We went out with buck cherry at that one. That's the
Wow.
longest one. It was cool, man. It was badass. But again, you miss home, and the cool thing about today's technology and all that is you got like this. You got Skype, you got FaceTime, you got where before is like you had to damn payphone or whatever. You had to pop the
Flip
recorder,
phone.
talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, whatever it is. But again, luckily we have those technological advancements in our day and age, but it still ain't easy, man. It's just you make the best of whatever situation you can, and that's something that I've really learned in being a touring musician, a husband, and a father, man. Like, you're gonna get shit thrown at you. You know what I mean? You're gonna get the punches are gonna come flying from all angles, and you got to do your best to roll with those things, man. Like, you're gonna get knocked down, but if you stay down, it's makes things worse. It's best if you just swallow that lump, get up, and just keep going, man. And it's difficult. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's easy, because it's not. But I love it, man. I love what I do. I love my wife. I love my kids, my family, everything. And the people we get to meet across the world have just been incredible. Like, I mean, you meet some crazy people that are out of line sometimes, but I want to say like 95% of the people we've met have all been just incredible people, man.
And it's one of those things, like, when you have that passion for what you're doing, man, you're going to make it work, in a positive way. Even just like fishing, again, you go back to that. Like, if you want to go fishing, you got to make it work to where everybody's happy, because if you go fishing and you left your wife at home pissed off, you're not going to enjoy yourself. So it's one of those things, you got to make it work because you enjoy what you're doing.
You'll enjoy yourself, but you'll just kind of feel a little bit bad when you
you drive back. You enjoy the drive back is the hard one. It's like,
drive back. You're like, you want to get home, man.
But I have a question for you, man. My name's Victor. I know I didn't get to introduce myself at the beginning, but I do have a question for you. Is this what you do? Is this what you do for a living?
Yeah, man. So when I'm home, I do side hustles or whatever. Like, I'll even do Lyft driving sometimes. Well, not now, obviously, because of the what's going on with this pandemic.
So you do Lyft drive. So do you get people that recognize you, like when you're out picking up?
I've had before, and I'm just like, shit. Like, damn it. Like, it just, whatever. I mean, you gotta make that scratch when you're home. When you got extra bills coming in, or your kids got a football season coming up, you got to make that extra scratch to be able to pay for all that. So, man, I don't care. Like, I got no shame.
Absolutely.
Hustle's a hustle.
Absolutely, man. It's all about putting. I mean, it's you got to do what you got to do the things you love, right? And then it's all about kind of managing, balancing that and sacrifices that you're going to make, and kind of that. So, but yeah, kind of what you just said really kind of resonates with all of us, right? You're not too good for anything, right? If you get asked at work or if I get asked to go, do something, sweep the floors or whatever, I'm going to do it, right? It's just like you put yourself where you're not above anything or anyone, and you're down to earth, and that's, I mean, obviously that we get that from your vibe too. So you do have these side hustles that you kind of do in between gigs, and so that means that how often are you guys kind of doing gigs and touring and doing that in a typical year? Granted, no year you can say is typical, but maybe in the last year and a half.
I would say an average, like on a slow year, it would be maybe 6 months out of the year that we're out.
On a slow year?
Not,
oh, wow.
Obviously, yeah, not like consecutively, obviously. We'll go out for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, come back for, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's even a day, whatever it's going on. It just depends on the tours that we had lined up. Like when we were with Razor and Tie, we had our manager and our agent just stacking. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, all right, we got this one. All right, Europe, UK, Japan, whatever, US, like all this shit. I'm like, it's all very exciting, but I'm like, man, I need to catch up on some sleep. I need to, see my wife and my kids. But, man, like some of the stuff that goes on, like Mark's youngest son, I think it was. Yeah, his youngest son was born while we were in Europe on stage.
Oh, yeah?
And it was just, like, so those little kind of things like that, man, it's just, it's difficult. You're going to miss birthdays. You're going to miss, important life moments. You're going to miss milestones, first steps, like a bunch of firsts, a bunch of important moments, man. But that's kind of a given when you sign up.
Yeah,
part of the journey.
That's part of it. Like, you get the riggers, you get the people that work out in the oil field, you get people that do all those kind of jobs that constantly have them away from home. It's what comes with the territory, and you accept it because, man. I mean, you can't.
I didn't get to see my son.
Oh, excuse my language.
My son be born either.
No, I mean,
really?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get to see my oldest son. I didn't get to see him. I was out fishing, so I wasn't anywhere.
He's like,
I told my
I
mom,
got a big red on the
I looked at the
line.
calendar and I said, it's got 3 fish today. I'm gonna go fishing.
No, I mean, I can't say I know what it's like to be like that, but I've definitely, I've worked away, spent a lot of time away as well too, and the type of work we do. I work similar to Homer, where we're gone for periods of time and we come back, and so it's difficult. And one of the songs that I've heard, and granted, it's a Pat Green song. I think someone else wrote it before him, but it's called "While You Were Away." And it's all about, or while I was away, right? And it's all about kind of no, it's all about kind of going out and just like like, hey, you're out, you're trying to provide, you're trying to do your thing, but because of that, whether you're, and like, it's really kind of like toward military type stuff, but he says that in the context of you spend a lot of time away from home, and I'm doing this, and the things it's not about the money, it's it's about me here, and the things I miss are being away, you growing up on me being away, so it's definitely a tough thing.
One of the respectable things on your end is again, you're still playing, well, not playing, but you're still taking the parent role and still being a parent. I've heard so many stories, where, these, I heard one major story. There's one guy I met out in Corpus that his dad was actually, involved with a huge band, and he saw him born and gone, and didn't see him for 18 years. And it's like, oh wow, like, I mean, that's a different
called
story.
Coco. That's a movie, Coco, man.
It's one of those things. It's like, but you guys, it seems like you're still coming back and still obviously being a parent, still being involved on a daily, whether it's through Skype or anything, and that's definitely commendable because, again, this is the life of a musician, is not being home.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, it's like you said, like I said earlier, you got to make the moments count. So if you're home, you're tired, you're sleepy, hey, suck it up, man. Like, you know what I mean? You're not gonna, you might not have, more time, So the time you do have, you make the best of it and just roll with the punches, and that's all you can do, really. It's really the defining characteristic of whether you're gonna come out on top or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked. Yeah, actually, we talked about this in our last episode too. It kind of around with kind of the word around resilience, right? Just having that toughness and kind of being able to get tough and adapt to your situation and make the best of it. And it sounds like, I mean, that's a common word that we've used across multiple episodes here. Is that just kind of building that endurance and that toughness for that? So, no, absolutely, man.
Have your kids seen you in concert?
No, man. My daughter has. My kids. The oldest boy is 5, so I try not to have him around any of that craziness. But my daughter's seen us at a few shows, man, and she dug it the first time, and after that she was like, all right, I've seen this shit. Let's go home.
Listen to it on.
That sounds like my son when I take him fishing.
Yeah, man.
It's like, been there, done that, cross it off that list.
And I'll tell you what, man, kids are the biggest ego checkers in the world, man. So if you think you're hot shit, put your kid in front of it and see if they dig it. If they don't, that tells you something.
They put you in place really fast, yeah. So
yeah, man.
So you mentioned Japan and like kind of 20,000 people. Is that the biggest show you guys have done?
That is the highlight so far. We've done, it was the Saitama Super Arena in Japan, and it was, like I said, 10 a.m. their time. I assume it was 20,000 people. I think I heard somebody say that. I don't know the exact number, but there's actually, if you go on our Facebook, at the very end of the show, I do this like mock Van Halen thing to where the drums are just going. I'm just like going at it, trying to do like a big, ending or whatever. And John just rings out his open chords, and luckily he had the foresight to just whip out the phone at the very end while all that's going on, and he's panning from left and right. And you just see the panels that go up in the arena where the seating is around like that, and then the people in the crowd, the light finally comes on, you see all these, it's like huge ocean of people, man, and it's like, it's on Facebook somewhere on the
we're gonna definitely check it out. We're definitely gonna check that out.
That's cool, man. And who came up with the name?
That was man, it's crazy. That whole thing was one of the moments where we all just argued back and forth, like, no, it should be this, no, it should be that, whatever, for like a few days. And the manager at the time,
what were some of the top contending names before it was Sons of Texas?
Oh, man. One of them that I really dug was Mescalero, which is a ZZ Top album. And I thought that was cool, somebody that makes mezcal, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Oh, mezcalero.
yeah, mezcalero, yeah. And dude, like there was a bunch of them, and it's just some of them were ridiculous, man. And like I don't even want to mention it because I don't want to hurt the guy's feelings. But it's just at the end of it, our drummer Mike was the one that kind of just blurted it out and was like Sons of Texas. And at first we're like, nah, man, whatever. We don't want to do that, this and that. And everybody, kind of disagreed for, I mean, everybody kind of agreed that it wasn't the name or whatever. And then like a day later, something like that, I felt it. And I actually argued with everybody about it. I was like, man, we should do this, whatever. And, some of the other guys kind of agreed and that kind of thing. And I felt like because we've been told, on the way up, everybody was like, oh man, you guys sound, a little bit like ZZ Top. Oh, you sound like Pantera. And all these bands are based in Texas. So we're like, I mean, we're kind of the next of kin if you think about it. So next in line kind of thing. So it was like Sons of Texas, why not? Yeah. And it just, I don't know, man. It was something that just happened. And I don't know. It was just Mike.
It's cool name, man.
Yeah, it's cool. I dig it.
Yeah. No, man.
When it comes to, I was listening to your videos. When it comes to writing music, is there one of y'all in particular who does it, or is everybody on there pretty much savvy on how to, piece a song together?
No, and we do what's called iPhone riffs. So if anybody can contribute, the drummer, the bass player, guitar players, the singer. Actually, some of the ballads that we have on our first record were written by our singer, guitar chords, everything. Wow. And he had these songs pretty much already written, and we just pretty much made them into full band, tunes. But like I said, going back on that thing, what we do is iPhone riffs. So like if I don't have a guitar for me or whatever, I'm a guitar with me, which is like, majority of the day, whatever, running around doing errands, and something pops up, and I'm just like, I don't want to forget this. I'm just like, da 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 da, whatever's going on into the phone, and then when I get back, I'll do something on the guitar and record it in the phone, and then send them a clip of the audio. And whenever we get together to jam, there's 5 different perspectives on that one idea. So we go with whichever ends up being the best for the song. And there's arguments. There's kinds of like, no, it should be this, it should be that. But yeah, to answer your question, everybody contributes, man. Every single one of us. There's 5 of us in the band, and every single one of us, man.
So like every song is pretty much ownership of the band.
Yeah, so we, in the beginning, there was a back and forth as to how the split should be, and we ended up agreeing that it should be an even split so that nobody argues, or he has a bigger cut, or this guy has a bigger, I was like, no, man, let's just do it up the middle so that there's no bad blood later on, and it just works out, and that doesn't ever come up, who gets more, who gets that, whatever, because it's an even split, and there's a third party, like it's either BMI or ASCAP that'll do the distribution for royalties and that kind of thing. So we have no hands-on as to where the money comes from or whatever. They just collect it from airplay, streaming services nowadays, obviously YouTube plays and anything that gets played on a show or anything like that. And cool story on that, actually. I haven't seen it myself, but supposedly Howard Stern plays "Baptized in the Rio Grande" as part of his intro music.
Oh, cool deal!
So if anyone's seen that, let us know, man. Let us know in the comments below here, and that'd be cool.
Is that Capital?
Yeah, post it up my wall, man. I want to see it.
Well, I mean, you should.
Is that Capital BMI that you're with?
What's that?
Did you say Capital BMI is your distributor?
No. ASCAP or BMI, ASCAP or BMI. Those are the people that go out and look for who's playing what. The percentage that of royalties per person involved in said deal, and that trickles down to producers, labels, managers, if the case calls for it, and members in the band and that kind of thing, and they handle all that. So us, we just it's crazy because we don't ever know exactly when it's going to come, but it's a quarterly thing. So every 3-4 months or whatever, we'll randomly get a deposit at the bank. I'm like, dude, shit, yeah, I was about to not have money.
I don't have to make that many lifts this week.
Yeah, dude. And it'll just come in at the last minute. Like, yeah. Hell yeah.
Sorry, sir, I gotta
Uh,
cancel your lift.
Yeah,
And
I'm
when
gonna
you
cancel
do the
it.
lift, when you do the lift, do you play your music for them?
All right, please get out of here right now. Thank you. I'm going home. Imagine me
Going
trying to
home.
jump off and stuff.
Yeah, but Victor was asking if you play if you jam out, you make your clients jam out to Sons
Your
of
music.
Texas when
No,
you're driving around.
man, I don't actually, because a lot of the times when I was doing Lyft, it was on the weekends because that's when everybody
Yeah.
is busy. You know, they'll go downtown and that kind of thing. And fortunately enough, the truck that we have, the little SUV, has a decent sound system in it. And whenever we get in there, I'd crank the bass, you know, whatever, just have it ready. When people come in, I'll throw on whatever's contemporary on the pop radio or hip hop radio, and just blast that. And sometimes I'll give them the aux cord and be like, hey, man, check it out. You want to put jams or whatever? And they'll, every once in a while get fired up about that. And it might turn into a better tip every now and again. So,
So
like,
there's a
hey,
tip.
why
There's a
not?
tip for anyone that's doing Lyft.
Yeah,
Is just get an aux cable and hook it up
that's
and,
it. Yeah.
and get the tip. Yeah.
I
So
was gonna ask you ever sell any CDs on the side, but I don't think anybody. Do you still do CDs?
We do CDs at the shows. So we have
Okay, cool.
copies of whatever's in stock at the time available for purchase at those shows. And we just restock every now and again. Same thing with merch. Every now and again, we do re-up whenever it's convenient because, I mean, you're doing like thousands of dollars at once and you don't want to buy too much if it's already at the end of the tour. You just
Yeah.
be stuck with a big ass bill and a bunch of shirts, you know?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we know all about that. It's a little bit, but good deal, man. So you guys were just on tour late last year, huh? What was that like?
Man, it's awesome because we wrapped up in mid-March because it started in mid-February and it ended in mid-March, and we did a lot of the spots we'd done before, and it's really badass when you go and every once in a while you see shirts of people that have purchased from the previous time they came, but now we're starting to see shirts that are worn the fuck out. So like you'll see the logo like from the constant wear, the constant use, and they'll wash them like 8 times or whatever. And like I'm like, man, that's pretty badass because I always wondered if I would ever see shirts for people that were interested in what we're doing, and now we're seeing them worn out, and people come back, and you don't just see the person, like you remember the face. I'm not cool with names sometimes, but I remember every face I've ever met. And when I see them, like if I remember the name, like there's people obviously that come back and seen us. Like there's we got a few people that have seen us in high numbers, and when we see them, it's like it's family. It's not they're not even fans; they're family.
Yeah.
Because you've already built a certain relationship with them, and they support what you're doing. So it's just gratitude, man, and just great people you come across. It's badass, man. I love it.
I was telling Sam that when we posted that we were gonna have you all on the show, a good buddy of mine, Jacob Chappell, he posted on his timeline. He had a cap, he had a bandana, he had a shirt.
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess you know him.
Did it have any?
Yeah.
Did it have any holes in it though? That's the. It seems like that's the threshold there. So,
That was pretty cool to see.
so out of all the places you've gone to, granted Japan, I mean Japan in itself just sounds extraordinary on any given day. Just hey, I'm gonna go check out Japan, but obviously in the context that you described it, with thousands of people there watching you and kind of in that atmosphere, I would imagine that just kind of blows everything out of proportion. But outside from that, I mean, domestically in the States, I mean, obviously you guys get to go to a lot of places and see a lot of different things. So like, what's like, what are some of the places that surprised you and said, hey, this is what my perception was before I went on tour, and after I went to it, my perception changed. I thought this was going to be a shitty place, and now it's not. It's freaking a cool place. And then like, what's on top of that? Like, what's your favorite place to go to, if there is one?
Well, there's a few places that we hit that are they're just, they feel like home, man. And it's not necessarily because of the place itself, but because of the people that are there and the people that come to the shows. See, again, the reoccurring faces, the reoccurring the memories and that kind of stuff. But right here, actually, one place is in Flint, Michigan. It's called the Machine Shop. And man, the very first time we went there, we had just started out. We were touring, and we were just like green as shit. We didn't know anything, bro. Like, and we showed up, and this one guy walks in, or he walks up to us, huge beard, talking like, like ZZ Top type shit, like huge, whatever. And he's got a beanie, he's got a cigar, that kind of thing. And he goes, hey, man, if you guys need anything, whatever, let me know. And he helped us load in and that kind of thing. Come to find out later, he's the owner of the joint.
Nice.
And I'm like, man, who does that? You know, like
Yeah.
who in that position does that? And it's because of just the quality of the caliber of person that he is. You know, like he doesn't care. Again, like you said, he's not too good for anything. That guy, just zero ego, just great people. Him and his wife. His name's Kevin. And the machine shop in Flint, Michigan. There's something special about that place, man. And it's just the place is cool. It's like 500 cap venue. It's the inside is cool. You got like the tables with all the memorabilia, gelled in. Like they got that clear gel over the stuff, like drums. Yeah, epoxy. The drumsticks. They got the cool memorabilia on the walls. And they do this one thing in the hallway where the office is, right near the stage, where every band takes a photo from there. And it's weird, man. Big bands like Shine Down and all that, they'll still go out there. Like they'll do their acoustic gigs there, and they'll sell out like 4 nights in a row or something. And it's just because of the quality of the people that are there. It's a very family-oriented place, and everybody that works there is just incredible from top to bottom, man. And that's one of the main spots in my experience that were just great, and I love any chance we get to go out there. It just puts a smile on my face.
In the summertime, right? Not in the winter, because that place.
Do not go in the winter. Don't ever, man. It was. Can't handle it. You see some of these cats that walk out there with just like a shirt on. I've got like 6 layers. These cats are like, man, this is like warm for this time of year. I'm like, man, you know what I mean?
It's 30 degrees outside.
Come down to the valley. You can make it in 110. You can talk to me about it. You know?
Yeah.
But no, man, it's freezing out there. And another spot is Houston, the Scout Bar. It's just one place that we constantly go to. We shot one of our videos there. It's what's it called? Expedition to Perdition is the name of the song. And we thought, hey, we're gonna release this song. Let's do a video for it. All right, cool. Where? These people in Houston are nutty as shit. Why don't we do it there? So we shot it there, and sure enough, man, it was just like Mark made the mistake of saying, hey, there's no rules. Come on stage. And it just
oh shit.
Man, like crazy, man. A friend of mine, his name's Chip, ended up breaking his ankle jumping off the stage at that show, man.
No rules, absolutely no
man,
rules.
There's it was nutty, man. And like right before we went on, they started doing the chant, Sons of Texas or whatever. And it's my boy Bobby. He's Nick and Mike's older brother. He does videography, photography. He's a damn good guy too. He actually captured a great, footage of the people just going nuts, saying, Sons up right before we went on, because of the anticipation or whatever. And we just put it in the video, and it just made for a cool, like a little video of presentation of the song. And it's a good time, dude. Every time we go there, I've yet to show up and have a bad time there.
All right. So Houston and Flint, Michigan, completely opposite side, or north and south, thousands of miles away from each other. So,
do you ever play here in the valley?
Yeah, we do once a year in the valley. We do an annual thing at the end of the year, and depending on the circumstances, we won't do more than like 2 or 3. We don't want to burn it out. People are like, all right, we've already seen these guys like twice this year or whatever. But we try to do it at the end of the year, around Christmas time or whatever. We'll play at Casino El Rey. We've done a couple of shows where Sam Daly from Q94.5 had a benefit show in Weslaco, and he was asking for bands to do it. We jumped on that. Like circumstances like that, we'll get on it, because those are our people, man. Like Sam Daly, it's like my brother, man. He's good people. He's been there for us even before anything was going on with the band. He just decided, I like this band, I'm going to support them and back them and that kind of thing. So sometimes the circumstances like that, we'll actually jump in and do more shows throughout the year. But we try to keep it to about 1 or 2, maybe 3.
And are all of y'all from the valley?
Yeah, so Johnny, the guitar player, he's from Santa Rosa. My wife is from Santa Rosa. I met my wife because Mark is from the McAllen area, but he currently lives in Edinburgh. He lives like maybe, 40 feet from me. Every once in a while we'll see each other. We'll just do
taking the trash out.
Just walk. Yeah. So also Nick and Mike live in McAllen, so the majority of us are in that area, Edinburgh, McAllen.
But where are you from? You're from Far or San Juan? Where are you from?
Man, growing up, we moved around quite a bit, but I was from Las Milpas
BLM,
growing up.
dude. BLM. So.
Yeah, that's right. Barrio Las Milpas. What's up,
Puro
baby? Shout
juniors,
out, much,
puro junior.
Junior.
dude.
I think
Man,
that think
the
that.
Caliche roads. Danny was still in
Yeah,
Caliche
yeah.
and all that shit. The hood was Caliche back in the day,
Oh, I
man.
think Victor got some ties to Las Milpas too, right? Victor, you were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up in the far area, and then my parents moved to La Milpas, and yeah, it was cool, man. It toughened me up.
A little bit. It seems. It seems
It
that.
was a pretty good times out there,
It
man.
seems
But
that.
yeah, we moved around and that kind of stuff. Right now, I live in Edinburgh.
Yeah, good deal. Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, so Victor, me, Homer, Jess, we're all from Las Milpas, so repping the BLM, dude.
When people ask me where you from, and I want to sound tough, I'm like, I'm from La Milpa, bro. Oh, shit. Okay, bro. Sorry, bro. Okay,
Yeah.
better watch out.
That's
Eh?
Yeah.
here, fire shots and all kind of stuff in the middle of the night. It's like, watch your ass, man.
So what's next, man? What do you guys got? What do you guys got coming up? What do we need? Obviously, we're locked down right now for quarantine. So what do you guys got planned for kind of later in the year as things kind of lessen, like these restrictions lessen up, and you guys can get back on the road?
So before this whole lockdown and pandemic went on, we managed to do some work before, and we were able to have it prepared. And actually, right as we came off the road, or was it before? I don't remember exactly, but we got one track that's going to be released on the 20th of this month, and it's, what are we, like maybe 12 days away or something like that. And it's called Under the Gun. It's a new single. It'll be out on all streaming platforms, anywhere you can purchase music, iTunes or Apple Music, whatever the platform is for them now, Google Play and all that. And as soon as we get word that, this whole thing is going to, it's going to be okay, we can go back out and start touring, we're going to hit it hard, man. Just keep going and just keep doing what we do. But in the meantime, obviously, since we're home, we're able to continue the writing process because, I mean, that never really stops, actually. Well, like anywhere we go, even on the road, people come up with stuff. There's some footage somewhere I'm sure we'll compile at some point of us, like, writing stuff while we're on the road. And we're just going to keep releasing material. And the plan at the beginning of the year was to release, most people do 10-track songs, 12 tracks. 10-track records, 12-track records, and that kind of thing. But because of the financial situation and because we no longer have a backing from the label, we're between labels right now, so we decided, it doesn't make any sense to release a full record if it's not going to get global release and marketing. So let's do something smaller and go back to basics. And what we did in the beginning was we release 3 or 4 song track EPs and, put our best foot forward at the moment. And that's what we continue to do now, so that every song gets digested properly and not just skipped over because it's a big list of songs, And the funny thing is, man, in this day and age, people don't listen to records anymore. They listen to playlists.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So playlists is a big thing, and I feel like that's kind of where we're at. And, we kind of had the foresight to do that on our records because we had, I don't know, like 20 songs at one point or whatever, and we took the best of them and we kind of made a nice cocktail for the first record to kind of show the palette and the colors of what we're able to do so that we wouldn't pigeonhole ourselves and, the first record was heavy and then the next one's got ballads, so people are like, these guys suck or whatever. But we were like, we had the foresight to say, hey, let's do a couple ballads, let's do a couple of heavy hitters, let's do some groovy stuff and that kind of thing. So we kind of do that, and the plan is to keep putting out the best foot forward. And this next one coming up is not really a heavy track to say it's like, the heavier side of things. It's I don't want to say it's a ballad because it's not, but it's got the clean vocals, it's got the slower rhythms and that kind of thing. And
so
it's
so someone's listening to this, like help me kind of paint the status here or whatever, put it in context here. So we're gonna jam out to this when we're working out, when we're just chilling, drinking some beers.
No, it's I wouldn't say it's a workout song. It's more in the vein of, man, I don't even know, like it's again, it's not a ballad, but it's just between that and like Baptizing the Rio Grande or Beneath the Riverbed.
Okay.
It's between those, so it's like that. It's got the cleaner vocals, it's got the guitar solos, it's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it's not a heavy track. I think it's something that can be palatable to most people.
Yep. No, awesome, and that comes out on the 20th.
On the 20th, yes, sir.
And that's Under the Gun.
Correct.
Under the Gun, right?
Under the Gun, man. And again, we're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna keep releasing small bursts like that, and 3 to 4 track EPs, and just keep touring, man. That's the jam. Just to keep touring, keep getting out there, and keep the thing going.
Yeah, no, man. That's what you got to do. You got to keep the hustle up, and right now, it's like you said, it's perfect time to kind of regroup and develop kind of put your content together and put your songs together and keep on doing that. So that's awesome, man. So we're kind of running. So we try to keep this show at an hour here, but we do have a tradition, and so it's been two shows in a row here, and so I'm going to put you on the spot, and I don't want to put you on the spot and say that if you don't comply or if you don't follow this, you're going to break the tradition, because you will, but I'm not, there's no pressure on that, but part of this show, at least the last 2 shows, and now we're trying to make this a tradition, is where we get the guest of honor, which is you today, to sing something for us, and it could be whatever it is you want to sing. It could be the ABCs, or it could be Under the Gun, but it just
man, it's not going to be a long
preview of what's coming out,
and I'm not no singer, but I'll do something small, man, and crowd participation, if you know the words, follow along with me, man. The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart.
There you go.
Oh man, that was awesome, dude. So then again, Jess, thanks again for taking this time to come to us and coming on our show and talking with us. It's definitely been fun. I mean, a lot of people, we all look up to you and appreciate the stuff you do. You guys are one of the bands out of the Valley that have made it pretty big here, and we definitely enjoy and respect the stuff you guys are doing, as well as the sacrifices you make to be able to do the things that you do. So thanks again for coming on our show here.
Dude, thanks so much for having me, man. It was a real pleasure. And you know what's funny is that I've done a few of these interviews throughout the years, and none of them seem to flow as well as this one did.
No,
it's great, man.
So yeah, part of this is, part of the planning is that we don't really do any planning, and we just kind of let it go how it goes, right?
Wing it.
We just kind of wing it, right? And then
it helps too that I'm able to have a little bit of liquid courage to be able to
all of us,
keep
right?
all of it.
So I mean,
so with that in mind, cheers for everybody. Everyone's got a drink on their hand.
Yeah, cheers.
A good one.
All right, cheers, guys. Thanks again. Go ahead and check out Sons of Albums, Under the Gun, coming out August 20th, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, anywhere you listen to your music. So check it out. I know I'll be checking it out. I'm ready for it. Sure. I think it's I'm kind of getting myself set up for it. I was hoping that Jess was going to kind of give us a preview for it, but when he was singing, but that didn't.
Yeah, man.
But
maybe next time.
If y'all ever need a new singer, bro, Fabian.
Hey, I'll give you a call, man.
Oh yeah,
not me, Fabian, bro.
I was gonna say, Live Victor.
Nah, hell no, man. I can't sing for nothing, but Fabian can.
Hey, bro, you guys are cool as shit, man. And we're there in Edinburgh.
Maybe y'all take me out with y'all to go fishing, man. If y'all ever go fishing, give me a chance.
Someone on this list that goes fishing. Come on, please invite Jess. Take him on your boat. Take him out here. He'll take his guitar. He'll jam out and like.
We don't catch fish. We catch a buzz or something, man.
So, I mean, that's what fishing's all about, right? Like most people, I tell them, hey, let's go fishing. I don't know how to fish. You know how to drink beer? Then that's 80% of it. So
you're a pro staff.
You can be a part of our pro staff. So yeah, absolutely. So, all right, guys. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys on Friday with Mr. Fish Sticks Hunter. So and so you guys know Hunter is a character as well too, and so we're looking forward to having Hunter. But I kind of gave Hunter a warning about us expecting him to sing, but I told him he could back out if he wanted to. But anyways, so guys, all right, thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, cheers.
Good one, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.